I told everybody on the Instagram that I say everybody as if I have a lot of followers. I think I literally have a little over 100 followers on my podcast Instagram. Let me pull it up. Oh, I think I lost a follower.
5 episodes in, not my taste.
Wait, I'm sorry if you're laughing that closely to the mic. That was really annoying. But that made me laugh because I am at 113 followers on my podcast Instagram, but I think I had 114. But hey, I'm only following 24, so the ratio is still not looking too desperate.
People still talk about the ratio?
Well,
it's been a minute since I've been on Instagram.
No, I don't think so, because at least I hope not, because my personal Instagram I definitely follow more, because I follow so many like foodie influencers, and
because you find more people than you meet.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like you're not still meeting.
I know, I do. That's so sad. Okay, so I told. No, I posted.
That's the truth. Everybody who's listening to this, unless you're like in high school.
Oh my gosh, it's about the thunderstorm. You guys, how cozy. We're drinking. Well, okay, continue. No, you go.
No, I'm just saying everybody who's listening to this, unless you're like in high school or college, like it definitely peaks. And that's a great thing. Like if you had to maintain all your social relationships from like 22 years old or like 21 years old, like post-college, that would be absolutely exhausting and unsustainable. I think it is, which is why you don't meet more people.
Thanks, Alec. No, I'm just kidding.
That's our podcast.
Okay, what I was going to say, I posted on the podcast Instagram story, not me wondering who stopped following. I can't even think straight. No, I posted on the podcast Instagram story that we were going to record this episode with mimosas. And we woke up today and we were like, nah, we don't feel it. We're not feeling it this morning.
We had a great morning.
We had a fantastic morning.
Much better things going on.
So
recording a podcast.
And we want to be hashtag authentic. So we're like, we don't want to record a podcast when we're not in a chipper mood. That was our dog shaking his thing. No, it's fine. He was shaking his body. And it's thunderstorming. This is a great time.
I hope it's just a mess of an episode.
This is going to be a mess of an episode. But we didn't do that. Anyways, now it's evening. Rory is down and Alec is playing bartender for us. So instead of mimosas, I just had a glass of wine. And now I'm drinking what I believed is my first ever whiskey sour that Alec made. And it's good. And I was nervous. I don't like whiskey.
It's good. It's like my summer drink of choice. Like I'm not a fancy cocktail guy, but and whiskey sour isn't a fancy cocktail, but like it's just a good summer, just sipping by the kiddie pool out back. Our dog is itchy and I'm distracted.
He's whining. He wants attention, and I'm like, this episode's going to be a hot mess. We'll try. No. It's going to happen. Have faith. Like I said, this morning we didn't record because we're actually about to go to New York in a few months. We're taking Rory there. We really want to go before she starts crawling. And so we're kind of like flying by the seat of our pants. We don't have much time to plan out our trip. And we're not going for too many days because we don't want to spend $1 million. But we were like,
New York's expensive.
But Alec, I've done New York more than Alec has, but Alec hasn't done it right. And so now he's interested in it. Do you hear our dog? Rucker, what?
Jeez.
I think it's like he knows that his medicine, we give him peanut butter when he gets his medicine for his seizures. But it's not until 30 minutes that we're supposed to give him his medicine. So I don't know why he's being this way. Anyways, so we're planning a New York trip. So this morning I went and got coffee from a local coffee shop that we like, and I brought it back home and we had coffee and we just did some New York planning, and Rory practiced sitting in her booster seat. That was really fun. And then during the day today, we had our kiddie pool out.
Got lunch. Went on a little lunch day.
Oh, yeah, we did. I had a fried chicken sandwich and
went shopping for Father's Day.
Yes.
Sexy little meal coming up.
Sexy meal, a sexy half-baked harvest.
It is.
Bougie sandwich.
Yeah.
And then we're going to open your gift. Anyways, I'm excited. Alec told me that I needed to give an actor life update. And I was like, I don't want to. But he said I needed to because I guess that's the podcast.
The entire point of the podcast.
Right.
Go ahead. Proceed.
So, as I've mentioned probably too many times on this podcast, the past year has been a doozy.
What?
Because there was the SAG strike, the writer's strike. I know I talk about it too much. But even though those ended, there's a potential third strike that we should know. The rumor is like July 31st for IATSE, which is like film crew. They might go on strike. It's looking like a 50% chance it could truly go either way at this point. If I'm wrong on the day July 31st, don't come at me. Like, I honestly am not keeping up with this as much as I could be because honestly, it's too much for me to I'm very jaded at this point.
You got a kid too. I mean, like,
oh yeah.
Heaven forbid you get a date wrong.
So I think it is July 31st, but we'll see. But yeah, so a lot of productions are still on pause. It's been a time, you guys. I'm not going to lie. I've been very stressed. I've been very bitter, annoyed, but commercial auditions have been fun. And I've been doing those and it's still not been bad at all with Rory.
Yeah, you've gotten into like a routine.
Yeah.
You like know what you need to do and when you need to do it.
Yeah. And there have been some TV auditions too. I don't want to act like there's not been any, but if there is not a strike, if we hear late July that there ends up not being a third strike, I think going forward there will slowly start being more, and that'll be exciting. But
production will be more comfortable.
Yeah.
To let things get started.
But it definitely, I mean, it can make you jaded for sure. I mean, it's hard enough. This has all been very historic. And so the fact that it's a hard enough, very competitive industry career path, even without all this going on, it takes a lot of thick skin. But I'm fine with that because I'm like, I can't find my like soul joy and purpose in life in it, you know? And so honestly, I'm like, okay, I'm hanging with Rory girl. Like
that's
I'm
good
Gucci.
Advice for anybody.
Yeah.
No matter the industry.
And whether you have a kid or not. I'm not saying that my sole identity is being a mom either, but it's just, having a life outside of whatever your passion or your career path may be.
Come on.
But I did recently like get new headshots. So I'm excited for those to come back through because I was looking at my old ones and I was like, ooh, I don't know. I had a little bit too much makeup on in them and headshots are not supposed to be glamour shots. I don't know. Anyways, that was way too much. So that's the little actor updates I have. Tomorrow I'm hosting through my acting collective that I run like a dialect workshop virtually. Alec is like, this is news to me. He's like, are we having people over at our house again? Because last month we had a hot dog hangout for my acting collective. But yeah, all good stuff, but very slow at the same time. Should we get into it? The birth story? Okay. I am really excited about this episode. Partially, I was like, we didn't even plan it this way, but the fact that we're doing it the day before Father's Day is kind of sweet.
That's sweet.
Yeah. I have to start out by saying all pregnancy, it's almost like I spoke this into existence. Not really, but throughout my pregnancy, I would say so many times how I would joke, but also it wasn't a joke. Like, how much I would love if I could go into labor 3 weeks early. And I always would say 3 weeks early specifically, not thinking it would happen because it never happens on your first, or they say it never happens on your first, but don't you remember? I would always say that. Yeah.
Which at that point, everything typically is okay with the baby. Like you're not in the NICU, you're not,
you could be,
but you're not like technically considered premature. It's like right on the other side of that, but then you avoid like the last few weeks of just misery in pregnancy.
What is okay? So some people would consider Rory a preemie, which is so interesting. Like I read something yesterday that it was calling her a preemie if you're before 38 weeks, but we heard a different term when we were there.
I'm trying to think of it.
I know. The Great Pretenders or something.
Yeah, they called that, but it was like,
it wasn't preemie. What was it?
It was like late preterm. I don't know.
Oh,
it was like something straddling the line or like early full term.
Yeah.
This is so uninformed. This is ridiculous. But
it's fine.
It was something like that.
So I've always heard people who go into labor a little early if it's their second or third, but I truly never hear that about, I'm laughing because Rucker is just the worst and our dog, and he's just dropping his ball everywhere.
Yeah, but
Rucker,
we love
please.
him.
Well, you could put him in the bedroom and he'll calm down. Should we do that?
Sure. Something like
Rucker is harder than our baby, but we'll get to that anyways. Or not. So I've always heard of people who say that they delivered early with their second or third, but typically people go later than their due date with their first. And
that's what I mean. So the best place to start if you're telling the birth story is probably the Friday before. Rory was born on a Monday.
Right.
Okay. Friday before. Go.
So what was her original due date?
Shoot.
I asked you because I'm forgetting
February. That's so effed up. You just set me up. Right. And her due date was February 17th.
I'm dying. No, wait. It was, we're terrible people. Wait, February. Oh my gosh. No, I have it marked. Oh my gosh. Our parents are going to listen to this and be like, you guys are terrible.
It was February something.
Oh, I feel terrible, actually. Well, she was born on January 22nd.
We know her birthday, yeah.
Okay, so the Friday before, try to find the due date while I talk about this.
Her due date is February 10th. So, yeah, her due date was February 10th.
That's very early. Okay.
That was for editing, just in case you don't know.
Yeah.
February 10th, for sure.
Okay, so the Monday before, or the Friday before I ended up going into labor, we saw a nurse practitioner at our practice, wonderful girl. And I was kind of joking, kind of not. I was by that point already done being pregnant. Sleeping was just terrible and I was over it. And I remember asking her at the appointment, I was like, so if I do a lot of curve walking and I eat a lot of dates, what are the odds I could go into labor like a couple weeks early? And she looked at me and she said, I always tell my girls, just don't even plan on going early, especially with your first. Plan on being late. I was like, okay.
Great conventional wisdom. Just for a mindset, like, all right, 3 more weeks of this,
right.
Set the horizon correctly.
So I gave up on that dream. That was the final, like I had been having that dream all pregnancy. I was like, fine, done. So our house was, we talked to big game, like we were like, our house is going to be immaculate when like before the due date, we're going to make sure it's so clean. We're going to have everything perfect so that we come home to a nice relaxing place. So Saturday, Sunday go by, nothing, and then Monday morning, keep in mind, we still don't have the diaper changing pad at our house. We don't have a lot of things. Our house is pretty messy. We weren't even sleeping in our bedroom. It wasn't super messy.
To be fair, I think I tell everybody, give me 1 more week, like at home and at work. And like, I would have been completely ready. 1 more week to get all my crap in order.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
So I had a lot of bad pregnancy insomnia. I slept worse. I hate to say this. I don't want to be that person, but I'm going to be real. Like I slept worse in pregnancy than I did with the baby. Also, I mean, other than obviously the first few weeks of her life, you're waking up a lot to feed and stuff throughout the night, or however long. But I was already up and I was just like Googling random things because I couldn't sleep. And Alex, I have the note on my phone.
Yeah. This is the night of. So it's you go through the weekend. We have our meeting or our appointment on Friday. Sunday night comes around. We're just doing our thing, getting ready for work the next day. 3:30 a.m. comes, right?
Yeah.
It's 3:30 a.m.
No, before that. Like I said, I had pregnancy insomnia bad. So it was Monday morning, January 22nd. And at 2:15, I was up for a little while, not with pain or anything. I just couldn't sleep. And so I started I don't know, I can't remember now what led me to be thinking about this, but you're looking at dogs.
Let's save the punchline for later. You're looking at our dog just sleeping with us.
Right.
Beautiful buddy.
That's what it was. I know. I was wondering what led me to think of this. Our dog sleeps with us. So I started like petting him and And then I was like, oh, I wonder if I do a certain like massage on his back, if he likes that. So then I started just like petting him in certain ways.
Yeah.
So I'm just petting him and everything. Okay, just remember that for later. This comes in hand later. I Google things and I make a little note, and then an hour
it's
later,
just what you do at night,
right?
Like, what else are you gonna do?
I make a little note about something that I Googled on my phone, and an hour later, I'm like, oh, I have to pee. I all of a sudden have this sharp pain, and then I immediately sit up, and then I'm like, oh, I really have to pee. Oh no, I really have to pee. And then I start trying to get to the bathroom, and I'm like, I'm not going to make it to the bathroom. I'm not going to make it to the bathroom. And then I just, the water, I didn't know it was my water breaking. I thought I just couldn't control my pee. And so I didn't even make it to the bathroom, which is truly right next to the room. Like we live in a tiny house. And then I'm having this sharp pain and I go, ooh, ooh. And then I make it to the bathroom and I sit on the toilet. I keep what I think is more pee, even though it's completely clear. And then I don't remember exactly what I said, but I go, Alec, keep in mind, Alec is normally such a
the world's like heaviest sleep. Like I will sleep through anything. I will not remember conversations we had the night before. Like, like
he will
honestly
talk,
even with a baby. I like there have been nights where like it's real. Like I don't wake up early morning. Like it's just tough.
Yeah,
I feel I've been better with a baby, but like notoriously, yeah, I'll be speaking at night and not remember what I say.
You'll like sit up and like say things to me.
I've made promises.
He's made promises.
Sarah has manipulated me in the middle of the night to promise. Dude, you did on a road trip.
No, I remember. I thought we had a real conversation.
No, dude.
I swear.
You knew at that point that I had the propensity to do this, and you made me promise Chick-fil-A breakfast before a road trip. And then we get up and you're like, so Chick-fil-A? I'm like, nah, let's get on the road first. You know, let's just hit the ground. Like, we don't need to spend that money. But Alec, you promised it last night.
Alec.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I swear. I remember this. I swear
Sarah,
on my literal life. I swear on my life. I thought you were so convincingly awake. Alec and I don't break a pinky promise. I will pinky promise you. You were so like looking at me, engaged.
You knew my weakness.
I literally was shocked that you didn't remember this the next morning. Okay, we're backtracked. So we're getting sidetracked.
That's me at night.
So I call Alec from the toilet and I go, hey Alec, could you come here for a second? And you shoot up out of bed. Like you're on high alert.
Honestly, my proudest moment of pregnancy.
Life. Okay.
Pregnancy. But no, I was proud that I actually got up. That's pathetic, but
you shot up out of bed. And I think that when you're at the end of pregnancy, I almost feel like the woman is more chill because
you've gone 8 months at that point, more or less, where everybody's like, nope, that's normal. Don't worry about it. Like that. Oh, this is a terrible pain. Oh, what the heck is happening? Don't worry. That's normal.
Oh, I'm fainting. Oh, the baby's laying on your vagal nerve. Or, you're low on iron. No problem.
But like, yeah, you've done that, heard that a million times. And then this is just the next thing. So, right. And I just was thinking I'm being dramatic. And so I think I said something along the lines of, I'm sure it's totally fine. I have had a sharp pain or two. And Alex starts seeing like this clear water coming out of me. And you are looking at it and you're like, that's not a little amount. Yeah, we're looking up like, what is this, my water breaking? And it was like, all the signs like, okay, check. Like, yeah, it's pretty much tracks. Yeah. And for some people, this never happened to me, but for some people you can, I guess there's something called like your mucus plug breaking. Why? I'm sorry. It didn't even happen. So why even bring it up? Anyways, but I didn't know if that's what it was. And it wasn't that. But I was like, maybe that's what it is. No, we were Googling. And also, did you know that your water can break and it can be a slow trickle for a long time and it won't be like what you see in the movies? And mine, ironically, was closer to what you see in the movies. And I just thought, maybe it was pee and it was clear because I kept saying I'm 3 weeks early. There's no way it's my first baby. If it weren't my first, I would have probably felt differently.
But then we started trying to time what felt like contractions, and they were.
Yeah.
But sometimes the time wouldn't be consistent like they tell you it will be. And so that was confusing me. So Alec is like, we need to call the after hours nurse. Now pause. Did I call my mom first or the after hours nurse first?
That's not rhetorical.
I'm asking you. I can't remember.
I really don't know. Let's just say the after hours nurse. I feel like that would make sense.
I think we called them first.
Yeah. Yeah, we had to. Well, I think
okay, so I called them. The girl didn't, she did not answer. I think she was asleep. And so the hospital
I can't blame her.
The hospital called me back and the girl was like, have you not heard from her? And I said, no, I don't think so. And she was like, oh, you're going to hear from her today. I will make sure you hear from her. And I was like, thank you. And so in the meantime, I thought, let me check in with my madre. I called my mom. I texted my mom. She didn't answer. I'm like, okay, it's early. I call her. She's clearly asleep because it's very, very early. And she's like, what? Why are you calling me? I was like, did you not get my text? And she was like, what text? I was like, I don't know if I'm in labor. She was like, what?
No, didn't she say something about the night before? Like, didn't you text her something the night before? And she thought you were calling
my word, you're so right.
4:30 in the morning to talk about.
Okay, my stepdad was made Rory a toy chest, which is so sweet. I texted her something about the measurements for the chest the night before, and she didn't answer, which is fine. She thought
it's late at night. Yeah, that's fine.
She thought that I was so impatient about her not texting me back that I called her at like 4 in the morning being like, you didn't text me back. And so she was like, Sarah, it's early. And I thought she was saying that in response to my text about me maybe being in labor. And so I said again, Mom, did you see my text? And she was like, it's too early for this. And I thought she was talking about me being in labor. And I was like, are you kidding me? I might be in labor and you're saying it's too early. And she said, what are you talking about? She's like, are you talking about the text about the measurements for your nursery chest? And I said, no. I said, I think my water may be broke. And if so, I might be in labor. And then she's quickly waking up and she's like, Sarah, why do you think you're in labor? She was like, you would know if your water broke.
That's not the first person though who said that. Like a bunch of people, not just the water, but like, it was like, no, like you'll know when you're in labor. Like I'm here. If you're pregnant and listening to this, like that's not necessarily true. You know what I mean? Like especially, very well, you could not know.
I think I would have known if it were close to our due date.
Sure.
But because it wasn't,
yeah,
I thought it was just weird things. I didn't know if it was like strong Braxton Hicks. I didn't know.
You didn't know.
And so I was like, Mom. So she said, Sarah, it'll be like in the movies if your water breaks, which it really was for me probably. And I was just downplaying it a lot to myself. She said, with all three of you, it was like in the movies, which isn't true for everyone. But I was like, Mom. And then I started getting sassy. I was like on the toilet with my water coming out of me and texting and I'm like getting sassy with my mom while I'm having painful contractions. And I was like, Google says that sometimes it's a trickly water effect and it doesn't happen like that. And she was like, okay, well just call the after hours nurse, keep me posted. I was like, okay, I will. So then I hang up. I find out way later from my stepdad that apparently she hung up and looked at him and like rolled her eyes and she was like, Sarah thinks her water broke and like laid back down, which is just the most Lori thing ever.
Shout out.
So then, we get a call back from the hospital. I'm at this point having some pretty painful contractions and nothing is working. At this point, we had some calls, but they tell you one way to test it is to take, I don't know if it's like ibuprofen, Tylenol, one of those things.
Don't come at her. We did the right thing. We didn't take the wrong medicine.
Yeah, don't come at me.
Yeah, it was the right one. We looked it up on Google.
We did.
Uh-huh.
And there's one of them that you can take.
We act like you have so many haters.
Yeah.
We're just going to come at your throat for something.
Please stop.
Please.
I took it, and they say if the pain of the contractions don't go away within an hour
That's
after
right.
you take that, that's a huge sign you're in labor. So the pain was only getting worse. That started making me be like, oh, maybe I am in labor. Meanwhile, Alec is like packing. We already mostly packed our go bags, but you're really last minute doing some packing.
Yeah, no, there's stuff like we were 95% done. We knew there was going to be 5% whenever it happened that we would need to do. So,
Yeah.
And we had a list.
Yes, we had a list. So Alec is almost done packing. He says,
And at some point, the nurse called back and it was like, XYZ has happened. And she was like, I think originally skeptical and then like heard like all these things. And it's like, okay, honey, like you go ahead and like
oh yeah,
come to the hospital.
When she said that, she said, okay, you can check into labor and delivery. I said, like today? And she said, uh-huh. She was like, uh-huh. I was like go there like today. She was like, mm-hmm. And the way that she said that on the phone made me be like, she thinks I might be in labor.
But also like you get in that situation and like when you're in it, like it seems like it's blown out of proportion. Like how embarrassing or how, like the last thing you want to happen is to go to the hospital and be sent home. You know what I mean? Like everybody talks about that. Like, oh, you don't want to be that person. Like, oh, I was that person, whatever. And it's like, so when you're in it, you're like, I want to be 110% sure that I'm not wasting a trip to the hospital at 4 a.m. You know.
I also
anyways, so the call from the nurse. Okay. Oh, this is real. Like this nurse has told us to go to the hospital. All right.
You had to. I kept
Sarah,
saying it's not today. It's not today. I was kind of in denial, and you had to set me straight. And Alec was like, Sarah, if this is the day that we are going to meet our daughter, this is the day, and it's going to be amazing. You had to give me a reality check. Not that I wasn't excited, but I was just like, this isn't what was
pretty surreal.
This wasn't supposed to happen. Okay.
This is where I come in and, you know, Sarah's dealing with her contractions. She's managing it, handling it well.
Saying all kinds of colorful things.
Yeah, it was great. I'm finishing that list. I'm like, oh my gosh, I know we got the list on Sarah's phone. Sarah's, where's your phone? I think it's on the bedside table. Okay. Go and get it. I know it's in her notes. Open up her notes, go there. We were literally working on this on Saturday. Like, so I look at the top, no notes. I'm like, what? Where did this note go? I noticed there's a note that's been put in since we've edited this like hospital checklist.
2:15 a.m.
2:15 a.m. It's the title of the note. There's no text. It's just one sentence. It says, doggy massage therapist, ? Could be lucrative. ... So going back to Sarah's insomnia at 2:15, I'm like, Sarah, are you freaking kidding me? I think I yelled it across.
And I didn't know what he was talking about because I didn't realize he found the note.
I said, are you kidding me?
And I was like, I couldn't sleep.
A conversation with herself.
I was petting Rucker and I just thought, like, I wonder how much dog massage therapists can make. It is a career path, by the way.
Could be lucrative. So we finished packing. I'm looking at the times now. 3:15 or 3:35 water breaks. We're leaving for the hospital at 4:43. So that's that hour to see if the contractions go away, pack, do all that. We're in the car or we're going to the car.
And Alec he was like, here, let me take a picture just in case. And I was like, there's no sense in taking a picture because we're going to get turned back. I just didn't believe it.
I'm sentimental. Like I want that moment, which we have it now.
Uh-huh.
Thanks to you. Thanks to Alec.
And I was like, these pictures, you're going to feel silly taking these pictures when I'm not in labor. I was
like, just be sentimental for one moment in your life. Like, just trust that, like, what if, Sarah?
The whole drive.
Like, you're right. Whole drive. We're
Alec
going. I'm like, Sarah,
Oh.
this is it. I was like, this is the drive to the hospital. Like, isn't that incredible? Like, that's amazing.
Soak
like,
it in.
Stop saying, yeah.
Okay, keep in mind you're being sentimental because you can be. I was having painful contractions that wrapped around my belly and my back. So we get there, and I am like having some contractions that bring me to my knees. I'm like holding the desk at the front desk, and the ladies at the front desk just couldn't care less about us.
Hospital was 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
The entire staff, all our nurses, doctors.
Amazing.
Everybody was awesome except for the front desk people.
And I think this front desk is shared by a different practice actually or something.
Maybe. I don't. Yeah.
Anyways. So they just could not care less that I'm on my knees. I know they see it all the time, so I totally get that. But they like just didn't care. They were super kind of rude. And then when that was over, they looked at me. They're like, "Do you need a wheelchair or not?" And I was like, "I'll be fine." So I get down to triage. We get down to triage, and they weren't sure, because
they're probably. Yeah, I don't know what the percentage is, but they're used to people coming in thinking something's happening.
And whatever. It's not. And they knew I was 3 weeks early. And I was downplaying a lot of.
Yeah, you were. I didn't know. In hindsight, did not know how much pain you were in at that moment.
I would have, again, if it were closer to my due date, I wouldn't have been downplaying it. But I said, we think my water, like a couple cups worth broke, and I am having contractions. So it was clear that I was having contractions. What I didn't know is you can have contractions for like a couple weeks leading up to your birth.
Yeah, that's terrifying. There's so many things that they do not tell you. Nobody knows until you have like your first kid. Like all these things, like you could have contractions for weeks. Like what? Like nobody told.
So one of the nurses was like, well, you're having contractions, but we've seen people plenty of times who have been having contractions for days and days. So that wasn't the term. We didn't know if I was going to labor.
But I think at that point you changed. It was like, when did it change where you were like,
when I texted Emma,
I don't want to do this. No. Like, not, I don't want to do this, but like, this isn't happening, denying, don't take pictures because this isn't the real deal. To like, oh no, I'm having this baby today.
No, when I learned that you can have contractions for multiple days, I said, oh no. Oh, I told the nurse actually, she said that to me and I looked at her, I said, oh no, that won't be my story. I said, that won't be me. I'm going to have this baby today. I refuse. She said, well, it's not really your choice. I said, no, hear me. I refuse to have these contractions for more than just today. Okay. So then she was like, okay, well, we're going to have to do a test to make sure your water really broke. So they did a test.
They do that. Take it off
that
to
takes
the
some time.
Lab or whatever.
Meanwhile, I text my friend, Emma, and she's, her husband's getting his PhD. Shout out. I don't know if she's listening to my episode. And he's getting his PhD at Notre Dame. So they're up in Indy. And it's so funny. She's like one of those people that she's never really wrong about anything for the most part. And
so John.
Yeah, John will hate that I said that. But I thought, I'm texting her, I'm telling her symptoms. She said, girl, your water definitely broken. You're in labor. And that's when I turned to Alec and said, okay, I think I'm in labor.
Absolute bull. And it's not even me. I was like, I'm pretty sure this happened, but I don't have any expertise. But you're sitting in like a hospital full of medical professionals, and you're like, we'll see what the tests come back with. And then Emma says it, and you're like, well,
it must be true.
It must be true.
So then they come back. They're like, your water broke. I'm like, yep, knew it because Emma said so. And then before that, you texted some family that we might be at the hospital. We don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, because it's like, you got the text ready as the husband. Like, that's like when you show up and show out on the birthday. Like, you don't really have anything else to do. Like, comfort the wife and like, you're running comms.
Yeah.
You're just letting people know what's happening.
Oof. And then So my mom had a very, very important doctor's appointment that she was scheduled for a long time to have that day.
Yeah.
She asked me, and it was like midday or late morning or something, or like lunchtime, one of, around that time frame. She said, do I need to cancel it? I said, Mom, please. It's my first birth. I'm going to go so long. You never hear of speedy births on your first birth. I was like, go to your appointment, which I'm still not mad at all. But like, I'm glad that she did it.
I'm bitter.
No, yeah, sure.
Just kidding.
And so I was like, please, like, I'll probably be lucky to deliver this by like dinner time, this baby by dinner time.
Mm-hmm.
So once we're cleared out of triage, we go upstairs. Oh, in triage, I was dilated
3 centimeters.
3 centimeters.
So we check in, and I've got the text. I was texting myself the times. It's like check in at 5. Sometime in there's a check 3 centimeters dilated. We're in the hospital suite, like the birthing suite, by 7:20. So in between there, they're like, they do the test. Water definitely broke.
And so then we go upstairs to this bougie birthing suite.
Beautiful. Loved it.
So nice. It's not where we stayed somewhere else, which is also really nice after we had the baby. But like where I delivered was really nice. And there was
I think the expectation is like, oh, where you are your first 2 nights, like there's going to be a couch, there's going to be a TV, there's going to be all this stuff. I guess I wasn't expecting that. Like I felt like it was going to be more medical, but it was homey.
It was homey. I go into the bathroom. I'm like checking things out. I'm checking the bathroom out. A nice shower, a heated freaking toilet. I almost said lost my socks. I think that's the wine and whiskey hitting me because that doesn't make sense. I literally flipped out. And I said to the staff, I said, I feel like a Kardashian right now with this heated toilet, my word. And they all thought I was crazy. And every time I had a contraction, I would sing instead of scream. I would be like, Lord Jesus, Lord. And so I did that. I think we were friends, but they thought I was a little crazy.
A little bit. It was a crew.
It was a fun crew. Our nurse that literally rocked it with us the whole birth.
Out.
Nurse
real, shout
Sunny.
Out. Yeah.
Nurse Sunny,
awesome.
You're an icon. You're a legend.
Sure, she's listening. Positive.
Right. And we couldn't have done it without you, with your sunny, bright attitude. She was hilarious. So basically, I knew from the start. Somebody asked if I was afraid or like if I'm team epidural or not.
Oh, yeah.
Baby girl, I love me an epidural. Okay. I knew from the start.
Ain't no shame.
Ain't no shame in the epidural game. You do you, I do me.
I hear that.
For me, I'm going to do an epidural.
Bring it, girl.
I had a man, I told Alec, I don't remember his name, so I don't feel bad saying this because it's literally not someone we're friends with or anything. There was a man at some Christmas event that we went to for
Max
something.
Joseph.
No.
I'm just kidding.
This will test if he listens to my podcast or not.
That's why I do it.
And so who literally said, I really would advise you to try your very best to not get the epidural because, there's some research about how it can be bad or dangerous. But if you really need to, I know it gets hard. I'm like, you don't know
tell me
anything.
More. Please.
Ooh, that annoyed me. I was so polite. I said, interesting. Thanks. Baby girl, I knew it. But I know to each his own. That's totally fine. So I knew, listen, if I'm going to get this epidural anyways, when I was down in triage, that was the wine. Epidural. When I was downstairs in triage, keep in mind, let's remind ourselves, I was 3 centimeters dilated at 7:20.
Yeah.
So we go upstairs, we check out the heated toilets, we chit chat with Nurse Sunny. And then I thought, I want the epidural before I get another. And we're all adults here, so we can be big kids about this. But listen, you got to get those cervical checks. And they're not the most fun thing in the world. And I already had done one.
I've got some opinions on that.
Shut. Oh, you don't. I can't. I'd really advise you to not get the epidural. I'd really advise you. You're going to want to not do it. And I know it gets...
Take a pause on that.
I know it can get a little bit of a big owie there.
Uncomfy.
Okay. So I was like, listen, because you have to at least do the first cervical check with no epidural. Because if you're not really in active labor, they can send you home.
Right. The bad look.
Right. So I already had my first, and I thought, I just don't want to do this again without an epidural because I'm already going to want to get one. So I asked to get one. That was not like a couple hours after, I would say, right? What time did I get the epidural?
Epidural, let me see. It was probably, so we were in the hospital. I feel like it was like we got the whole process going by 7:20. Like, so you were, I know by 10 o'clock you had your next check.
No, so I think it wouldn't have been much earlier
by
than
7:20. So it was
9.
it was probably like 9 o'clock.
Yeah, that I got that epidural.
Like, you get up there, we do our little tour. You feel like a Kardashian, meet everybody. All right, let's bring the anesthesiologist in.
Yeah.
Right.
And some people will say, don't get the epidural because it slows down your labor. But then one of my doctors was like, I've actually seen a lot of patients who, if anything, it relaxed them and then they started having contractions more quickly, or like it sped up their labor.
Yeah.
For me, it could be both. So I got the epidural. Then they were like, okay, we're going to do another cervical check on you.
9:54.
Okay. I was like, great, get on up in there, doc. I didn't do your worst. Keep in mind, this is like an old man.
But you didn't actually say that. Don't
get on up. No, I didn't actually say that. I'm saying, think of me. Imagine if I had said that to a sweet old man with like, no, we had the best practice ever. And our doctor who we had throughout pregnancy, we loved him. But I just, for some reason, knew all of pregnancy. I said, Sarah, don't get your hopes up. I have a feeling he won't be who delivers because it depends on who's on call. So just to be safe, they have you meet all the doctors a few times throughout pregnancy, which is great.
Yep.
So I was so thankful for our practice that there was truly not one doctor I wouldn't have been happy with. They were definitely our favorites of the bunch. But it was good. It was a good situation. So when I learned that Dr. A was not going to be delivering me, who I was with all pregnancy, obviously I was like a little bummed, but I wasn't too bummed because I was like, that's fine. Like, this will be great no matter who it is. They're all great. So anyways, the doctor who ended up delivering me, he does a cervical check. We're chatting as he's doing it. And he looks at me.
Super calm, like super like professional, not like experienced, like tenured
like
doctor.
A friendly grandpa.
Yeah, he's been there, done that. Like
your good old neighborhood grampy.
Time. He's just chatting. Go ahead, Sarah.
How did he say it?
He was like, okay, yeah. So how are you feeling? Good. Well, I gotta tell you, you are
8 centimeters dilated. And I said,
you lose your.
I said, what?
Mind. Yeah.
And the nurse, also Nurse Sunny, she said, what? And I said, Sunny. You're lying. He said, nope. And then I said, you're lying. And he said, nope. Now hold on. I said, you're lying. And then he said, now let me talk. I was like, I was in shock. So he goes, so then what did he say after I don't remember exactly what he said after that. He was just like, so you're 8 centimeters dilated. You have progressed wonderfully.
Yeah. I think he was like, it looks like we're going to be going forward with a natural birth.
Or not
not a C-section.
You won't need to get a C-section, which it's all. Alec knows I don't even, and this is not me getting onto you. This is me representing for my fellow sisters out there who
I didn't.
Every birth is a natural birth, whether it's C-section or epidural, no epidural, because it's all. I'm
writing my apology letter now.
Oh my gosh, you're gonna get canceled by me. No, it's totally fine. I prefer
No, I didn't mean that.
No, I know.
Vaginal.
Oh my gosh, vaginal. I know.
How many times do I have to say vaginal?
I know.
Delivery. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Stupid.
I'm just saying, even if somebody had a C-section, it's still not, which you totally agree with. And you're 100%. So sweet about all that. And I love you so much. And 100%. It's totally fine. And you are not. You are totally fine. Okay. So anyways, so he was like, you will have a vaginal birth, which this is so funny. I was like so many people, and I wanted it too, for sure. Oh, y'all, so my epidural, it was working great, but there was what is called like a hot spot in part of my, like, the lower left side of my stomach, my abdomen, where I could definitely feel intense contractions. Now, I could have increased it if I wanted to. They have like a button near your bed where you can keep upping it.
I don't think you can. I think you got to ask somebody to do that. You can do it yourself.
Yes, they have it so where it's safe, so where you won't go, like, even if you clicked it a million times, it won't. Because my friend's friend, who I'm not friends with, she just did it a bunch.
Wow.
No, because they make sure that even if you clicked it a million times, it wouldn't, the amount that's in there, I think.
I got you.
Watch me be so wrong. But I'm like actually 99% sure I'm right.
Just pretend you're right.
No, I know I'm right.
No, even if you're not, just go ahead. Yeah.
Well, I was talking with the nurse about increasing. She was helping me with that.
Yeah.
But our doctor, he was like, hey, the thing is, it's kind of a gift that you're able to have some feeling in your legs. Because if I went all the way with the epidural, I could have lost feeling in my legs. And it was kind of nice that I could have some feeling there.
Mm-hmm.
I felt part of the contractions, but not all the contractions. So he thought, why not, see the contractions as a blessing and help me with guiding me with pushing, but I don't have to feel the full weight of pregnant. Honestly, in a lot of ways, it was a best case scenario, but at the same time, the partial contractions I was feeling, that's
no joke.
It was painful. And I kept thinking, but I had such a half glass full mentality the whole time. I just kept thinking, wow, I'm so grateful. Like, if it's this much for partial, I can't imagine the full weight of this. Granted, I had Pitocin and that increases them, but I got that after I got the epidural. But anyways, so I could have theoretically increased my epidural, but I did not. And so what next? After I'm at 8 centimeters, we kind of start quickly getting ready for me to start pushing soon. Right?
I think so. I think like things go on, like looking at the time frame. So that was like 9:54, 8 centimeters. By 10:46, you're 9.5. That's 9.5,
which is
like,
wild.
All right, let's like we're starting to push right now. Like, so I think for like an hour and a half, it was like labor was progressing,
and I was having bad contractions.
Let's check, and then we check at 10:46. Yeah, that was when you were really dealing with the contractions. You were like counting colors. You were singing songs, like it was wild.
No, I was
eating, and nurse got mad at me because I wasn't thinking. But
you weren't eating like a whole-on burger. You just had a bar,
like a power bar.
And the nurse was like, "Are you really going to eat that in front of her?"
She was like, "Usually husbands don't eat that." I was like, "Oh no, 100%. I completely agree."
I didn't even notice. I'm so glad I brought a fan. That was a game changer,
dude. Jason Kelce. We watched that Kelce documentary. And like he was like insistent on bringing a fan. That was a whole bit, like throughout the whole documentary. And then you're like, that's actually a good idea. We brought one. It ended up being incredible.
Life saver.
Like tied up on the bed. All right, so 10.
When I was dealing with the pain, the really intense pain of the contractions, I kept shaking my head from side to side so much. It was like my body's natural response to the pain. I can't explain it. I was doing it so much, I ended up getting a big knot in my hair in the back of my head.
That was hilarious.
And I looked a little crazy in the picture with Rory. So I started pushing.
I kept reading you. So then 9:54, you're 8 centimeters dilated. 10:46, 9.5 centimeters dilated. And then my notes say you're fully dilated. 11:20, start pushing 15 minutes later, just to like let things. Yeah,
I was like texting my friends and stuff. Like, we're gonna do that. I was sending selfies, and it
progressed fast. It did. Like it was fast. It was moving, especially like if
for your first. That is fast.
And we're in the birthing suite, or the birthing suite by 7:20. Let's say the epidural happens at like 9. Yeah. It was like, let that set in, check 8 centimeters, and things are just blowing and going.
I do honestly think that the epidural like relaxed my body, and it was just ready, and Rory was just ready to come on out. But I have to say, pushing was the most exhausting thing I've ever done in my life, to the point where I got a blood vessel in my eye from pushing.
You popped.
I popped a blood vessel, and I have a selfie of it. And if I still have it,
It was hardcore.
it was. And I want to post it when I post about the episode, this
You
episode.
should. It was badass.
It was. I'm pretty proud of myself. But
no, well, and that was like literally as a husband, like, and I guarantee other husbands would back me up on this. Like, you literally have no physical, like, no matter what you want to do, like physically, you cannot contribute to this process. So to see your wife go from very pregnant to your baby is in the world is the most impressive, like awe-inspiring, amazing thing that you can imagine. Like it was just like in the course of our marriage and like, yeah, being married, like it was one of the more like impressive things I've ever seen. And like, it was very just awe-inspiring. I think I already said that, but it was incredible.
I'm just getting emotional a little bit thinking about that was like beautiful. The first moment we met Rory, and now, even though she's still only 4 months old and it's going to be 5 months in a couple weeks, her personality is already starting to show so much, and she's just like this smiley, content, sweet little girl, and it's just like crazy to meet her the first time like that. But
so pushing
was a lot. I
didn't realize it. That was the.
This is goofy.
So another thing they don't tell you, like when you hear about the epidural and the Pitocin, it's like, well, the body's just going to do its thing. You know, it's like you're going to like contribute like what you can, but like I had no idea it was going to be like the most intense crunch you've ever done for 10 seconds at a time. 3 reps for an hour and a half at the least. Like if you're lucky, and it was just mind blowing. Like you
just can't quit. That's like
work that you had to go through.
That's what's so hard about it is it's mentally taxing. I kept feeling like no matter how hard I was trying, she wasn't moving as quickly as I'd like, even though they said that.
Yeah.
And it was like an hour and 20 minutes. They were like, that's actually really good for a first baby or a first time. But you just feel like I'm putting all this effort into pushing, and she's like not moving fast enough. And then you can't just quit. It's not like you're doing a really hard workout.
Because it ramps up whether you want it or not. Like you know it's coming, and you just gotta.
You have to keep doing it. And I give so much credit to Nurse Sunny in our practice. Not just our nurse. I know a lot of other people who delivered at our practice who had other nurses. And I think our practice like really wants the nurses to do this. So people told me that if you got an epidural, that you could, one of the cons of it is you are on your back the whole time without being able to move. But I got an epidural and she was like moving me around for me, and which I was so grateful for. And she had Alex. She was like coaching Alex. She was like, okay, grab that leg, hold her this way. Jeez. We're going to push on this side for a little bit. Okay, now we're going to swap to the other side. Okay, now we're going to try this. She brought a peanut ball. I mean, she was amazing. Yeah. And when I did postpartum pelvic floor therapy, my pelvic floor therapist was so impressed with that when I told her. She was amazed. She was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. And so that was really nice. I did, I still tore a little bit.
Well, one thing on the coaching thing, also, I'd like just husband's perspective. This is about you and Rory. But one thing that like you look at all the movies, you hear all the stories, it's like, oh, the husband's just like, you're up at the head. Like you're just like encouraging, you're doing so great, baby. Like you're doing awesome. Mm-hmm. Like good job. Keep going. Like it was me and Nurse Sunny and you.
For a long time.
If it was an hour and 20 minutes for like an hour and 5 minutes of it. Like it was just us in there like grinding together. Like I was holding the leg, like giving that counter pressure. Like it was wild.
Yeah, that is really funny. And then doctor and then all these people come in.
You get to a certain point and they're like, they've got it down to a science where it's like, all right, this happens. It's going to take the doctor like 13 minutes to get ready. And this baby's coming in like 15 minutes. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like they were like that dialed in.
Yeah. And
So you keep pushing, and then that's when the whole team comes in of like the techs.
I
and
kept
everybody's,
asking people, I
getting
said,
going.
is it almost done? Is it almost done? And then they were like, don't ask us that.
But underplaying it, it was like, okay, so this might last a while, like 30 more minutes, like another hour. But
they were
like,
definitely
I'm gonna keep
underplaying
pushing.
it.
They were underselling.
But now I know next time, if they bring out that blue paper that they set under you and they get those silver tools out, then that's going to encourage me.
Real. Yeah.
And I remember there's this one sweet tech who came in. She's like, "You're doing so great. Keep going. You're doing awesome." I was like, "Thank you." And so I was like so done. I was pushing. Finally, I heard the doctor. He said, "Look down, Sarah." I didn't look down. I was so tired. I was like, kept pushing. He said, "Look down, Sarah." I didn't look down. He said, "Look down, Sarah." He said, "I see some hair." And I was like, "Oh, is he like pulling her out? Like, what's going on?" I was so out of it. And then I looked down. He was kind of, which is sweet. I think he could have pulled her out way sooner, but he kept having to tell me to look down because he didn't want to do it until I looked. I finally looked down. Then he pulls Rory out and she starts crying. And then we started crying.
Like immediately, like, and I tell this to everybody, but like just the most magical, like that's the only way to describe it. It was just like time, like stands still, and it's just like overwhelmed with emotion. Like you and I are like hugging each other, like kissing. Like it was just incredible.
Yeah. And then what they had to take her because she had mucus. What was it?
No, I think it was just, I don't think it was anything with like the birth or anything. Like I think it was just she swallowed
like, a tiny bit of
amniotic fluid.
That's what it was. That was what it was.
Like right before she came out.
I wasn't concerned though. I mean, it was super chill.
Yeah,
they kept her in the room.
Got that stuff out of her.
They just kept her in the room and they were like, "We're gonna quickly get this out of her throat." And then, "Mom, would you like to do skin to skin?" I was like, "Yes." And that was actually really sweet because it was like Rory was crying. She was crying. And then they brought her to my chest to do skin to skin for the very first time. And you remember, she stopped crying immediately.
Yeah, that was amazing. Like,
that was crazy.
Amazing. Like, she totally knew at like a hormonal level, like a chemical level, that like you were where she was comfortable. Like, it was just incredible to witness and just to watch that and to have like literally anything else in the world could be happening at that point in that like immediate post-birth time. And like, it wouldn't matter. Like, it was just like, I don't care if, you know, the house is burning down. Like, it's just like, it's just us three. And it was incredible.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
It was really sweet. And so it ended up being, I delivered her at 1:01 p.m.
1:01 p.m.
So I was definitely wrong when I told my mom it would be a long time, but our moms ended up making it later that day and it was perfect. It was honestly really great.
Mm-hmm.
And after that we went upstairs
6
to
pounds,
a different
6 ounces, 19 inches.
She was a little
just
thing.
Looked at the stats.
Yeah, she was born 3 weeks early.
Beautiful.
Sweet, precious little thing. We had to set timers to wake her up throughout the night, the first however long.
That's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah, that my issues with breastfeeding can be a whole nother podcast. I don't breastfeed. No,
I probably don't need to be on that one. I can't.
You kind of do.
Much. I can't.
You can talk about all the tears that have been shed.
No, I'm kidding.
But it's good now.
That's a story. I mean, 101. That's when it ended.
Our dog had a seizure for his first seizure 4 days after.
There's a lot of post-birth stories.
Yeah, there's a lot of episodes that can be made about postpartum, what that looked like. But as far as the birth, that was how little Miss Rory Olive Hirsch came into the world. And it was really, really freaking sweet.
It was fun. It was a roller coaster. It was a wild ride. And
Ivy did want me to rate the pain of my birth experience from 1 to 10. That's so tricky because it was.
That's it. I don't even know the answer to that.
It's tricky because I had an epidural that definitely I didn't feel any of the push, like the things down there. I didn't feel any of that. I can't. I don't know. I'll take that out. So, and then it blocked out a lot of my contractions. I guess the contractions that I did feel, the small pocket that I did feel the entire time, 8 or 9 maybe.
Wow.
I mean, it got so intense that I was not like hallucinating, but I was doing, my body and my brain went into overdrive, trying to do everything I could to not think about the pain of the contractions I was feeling. The brain is so crazy. I would count down from 10 and then this doesn't make sense if I say it, but I would try to assign a different color to every number because I thought that would take longer and I wanted my mind to be preoccupied doing something else. So I assigned like 10 orange, 9 was green, 8 was blue. And so that pocket of contractions, that was rough. But again, I was so grateful because I didn't feel my back pain anymore. I didn't feel the right side of my contractions and I didn't feel the actual, I didn't feel when I tore, which is a big blessing.
Yeah.
A big ol' blessing.
Any other FAQs?
We answered like
Frequently
all
asked
the
questions?
other ones in the
Cool.
story.
Well done.
So that was the only one we hadn't answered in the retelling. Thanks for listening, guys.
Thanks for listening to my birth story.
Okay. Whatever, if you're listening and you're going to give birth in the coming future, whatever you do will be beautiful and whatever choice you make will be beautiful. Those were just my preferred choices and my preferred method. But thanks for listening. I had a lot of fun with this one, honestly. And as always,
thanks for having me.
Follow me on the Instagram, DM me, email me if you have any other specific episodes you'd like to talk about. I like doing the interview podcast episodes, obviously, but these are always really fun too. And just a fun life update is always good to do.
It's always good.
All right. I think that's everything. Do you have any last words?
No, there's no way I need to have the last word on this podcast. It does not need to be Alec. Go ahead.
Cheers to that. I'm going to have one last sip of whiskey sour. Let's do this. Cheers in the mic.
Too loud. So dramatic.
It needed to be loud. Baby girl. All right. Love y'all.
That's it.
Bye.
Bye.